the sports flowing in their veins. Mackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
Make that Declan and Judd, because Phil, who is a busy man, Hubbard Broadcasting calls him to do many different things. So he is traveling this week. He is in pocket at times, out of pocket at times. He will join us for the second half of the show. Write that down, at least with his predictions. So
we think.
So if you're a big Phil fan, and by the way, we didn't touch on the fact, and since he's not here, we should.
Yeah.
We didn't touch on the fact that we got intelligence. A friend of ours was at a bar. Let's just say it wasn't in this state. Over the weekend, but not too far away, and overheard a conversation at which, let's put it this way.
Oh boy.
A person who is not a male volunteered up the fact that she finds Mr. Mackey to be, I believe the quote we heard was, so hot.
Oh, whoa. That's right. We did hear this.
You saw that,
Forgot
right?
about this. Yes, I did. It took me a little bit, but yes, apparently. He's really big in certain parts of northern Wisconsin, from what I've heard.
Small town Wisconsin.
Hey.
Our friend is just there sipping on some beers, so not participating, just hearing this. And he hears, oh, that Phil Mackey is so hot.
Oh boy. Oh god.
I'm amazed we didn't hear about that from Phil.
That's true.
Like that's the type of thing that we would get the Phil slam dunk on. Hey, you guys, I'm pretty popular.
Because if that happened to me, Judd, I would have led statements with it on Monday. You know, if the roles were reversed, you know. So the fact Phil didn't do it, I'm shocked too.
I feel like you would have led. I think you would have gone crazy with it if it had been mentioned that you had great hair.
Well, yes. Well,
so like if a girl in a Wisconsin bar, oh, whoops, I slipped up and said it.
Yeah.
If a girl in a Wisconsin bar said that Declan Goff has such great hair, I feel like we never would have heard the end of that.
Bars before, so yeah, that's.
No, I mean you do have good hair. You do have very good hair. Anyway, Phil Mackey, that guy is so hot, but he's not here right now. So if you are watching us right now and you're like, the hot guy's not on, I'm going to turn this off because of these two doofuses. Let me tell you right now, you don't want to do that because we have, every training camp, Declan Goff, just when it starts to get old and boring, right? Monotonous.
Yep.
Every training camp, there are check marks. There are like check marks of excitement. And before you ever get to a preseason game, the check mark of excitement, and something the team never wants to talk about, but they have to issue one eventually, is a depth chart in pro football. And we have Minnesota Vikings, depth chart 1.0.
Oh, my God.
Depth chart 1.0, we have a game on Sunday. Hang on to your hat. So what I think we should do here, I think that you should go through the depth chart.
Sure.
Give me what the current status is. And keep in mind, I believe we're at 90 players right now. So it's a bunch of players. But anyway, give me the current depth chart, and then we can react to, oh my gosh, that's a surprise, or you know what, that's exactly what we've been seeing so far.
Okay, so by the way, we're looking at this as a PDF from Vikings.com. Our great friends at the Media Center, they like to send us things, and they sent us a first. And now, Judd, this is the, quote, unofficial depth chart.
Yeah, I don't
That's
care
what it says, but
yeah,
you know what? We're
good
calling it that. Yeah, thank
exactly.
you. Whatever, PR. Come on, KOC. Get on the same page here. So, Judd, I'll just start for simplicity's sake. I'm just going to start from the top and then work my way down. And for the listeners, that means I'm starting with wide receivers and then offensive line, then another wide receivers, quarterback, running back, fullback. So
first team,
just so you're aware.
Just the first team.
First team, first column.
Gotcha.
That's what you want me to do. And I'll just do first column from each of those positions. Is that what you're saying too?
Yep.
Do all that?
Yeah, let's go first team, second team, third team, because that's still going to be some relevant names. And then if we need to go be on that, we can. But yes, that's absolutely fine. Go first team.
All right, so first team, wide receiver, number 18, Justin Jefferson, right on the top there, to no surprise. Let's do the offensive line now. So left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, again, no surprise. Left guard, Ezra Cleveland, no surprise. Center, Garrett Bradbury. Right guard, Jesse Davis. Right tackle, Brian O'Neill. I'll stop from right there just to get maybe a little bit of offensive line taste. So first team offensive line, Darrisaw, Cleveland, Bradbury, Davis, O'Neill.
Exactly what we've seen in practice when Davis has had 2 or 3 veteran sort of rest days off. because I believe he's coming off what was season-ending knee surgery, if I'm not mistaken, with the Dolphins last year. But that is exactly what we've seen every day that every one of those guys has been able to practice. Zero surprise. Now, as you go down the right guard depth chart, there's going to be a conversation to be had. But as far as unofficial depth chart 1.0, that offensive line holds absolutely no, wow, I didn't see that coming.
Right. The rest of the first team with tight end, Irv Smith still listed as the starting tight end. The KOC is still hopeful he will be available for week 1. I think Judd and I both have our little bit of blinders up, a little bit of yellow light when hold on their KOC. We'll see if that's the case, but the Vikings are listing him as the first tight end. Adam Thielen as the other starting wide receiver on the first team. And then rounding things out, Kirk Cousins at quarterback, Dalvin Cook at running back, and of course, CJ Ham at fullback. That is your first team. So from top to bottom, again, I'll give it again. Justin Jefferson, Christian Darrisaw, Ezra Cleveland, Garrett Bradbury, Jesse Davis, Brian O'Neill, Irv Smith Jr., Adam Thielen, Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, CJ Ham. That is your first team from the Vikings unofficial.
That's very official.
Yeah. All right. Second team?
Mm-hmm.
Second team? All right.
Yeah,
I'll do the same
this is
thing.
where it's going to get it.
I'll say the wide receiver, and then we'll do a little pause after the offensive line to get the little meat and potatoes, a little quick jam, little bam, little quick jam bam there. All right. Amir Smith-Marset behind Justin Jefferson. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, that more says he's wide receiver 4, right?
Yes.
Like he'd be the 4th wide receiver.
Yes. The first, yes, they are going to use 3 wide receiver sets a lot, and those 3 are going to be Jefferson, Thielen, Osborne. But yeah, this is interesting because there is no question in my mind that they want Amir Smith-Marset, who's got good speed. And keep in mind, Osborne's not a speedster. No. So Amir Smith-Marset would be a nice complementary piece with speed. It's also why my contention, and this is just a total guess on my part, but among the players that are catching and vying for the punt return job, Dex, Amir Smith-Marset, I think, is the guy that they want to win that job. 1, Osborne did that job 2 years ago, was drafted to do it, and was not good. 2, he doesn't have great speed. I think if Amir Smith-Marset can be counted on to possess the football without problem, he provides a pretty interesting player to return punts because of the fact that he does bring a speed element that the Vikings definitely don't have if Osborne is doing it. I
believe a couple touchdowns in the regular season finale last year for Amir Smith-Marset too, so he did show up in a bit of a garbage game. But still, hey, that's 2 touchdowns on your resume. Take that.
It's a chance he got, right?
Exactly.
You get a chance.
Second team offensive line, Judd, from left tackle through right tackle. I'll read the names here. Blake Brandel, second team left tackle.
Yep.
Chris Reed, second team left guard. Austin Schlotman, second team center. Ed Ingram, second team right guard. Oli Udoh, second team right tackle.
I'm going to stop you right there because there's some intrigue there. So this is the first time that we've got sort of the depth chart, which I don't quibble with, but what's also really going on behind the scenes of practices. Number 1, the last 2 practices, they didn't practice on Tuesday. The last 2 practices I've been to, which included the night practice on Monday, Chris Reed is back at center. They are giving, so Chris Reed is listed as a positionally guard center. He has never played center in an NFL game in his life. Austin Schlotman, who I think came from the Denver Broncos, is the same guard center, but he has played way more extensively at center in games. Now, I think their preference is Chris Reed is Bradbury's backup. I also think that they are probably exploring options outside this team if Bradbury continues to underwhelm. I think that there's a chance that they make a trade. So I don't quibble with where they have Reed, but I think the reality is right now, if you were to do a official depth chart, like if KOC has a chalkboard in his office with the real depth chart on it, right now Reed and Schlotman would slot in as second team centers with like an or, and the other piece of intrigue here, because I think this is a chance where on September 11th, despite the fact I'm telling them this is a mistake, Dex, I think Bradbury starts. So, I think Bradbury starts.
Yeah.
Unless they make a trade and get a guy, but then it could be too late and to train that guy in to immediately play. So, I don't like the fact Bradbury's going to start, but I think the reality is he will probably start. Where I think that there could be a change here before basically the exhibition games are done. Ed Ingram at right guard. Mm-hmm. Ed Ingram, so he was moved up when Davis had a day off. I think it was a day off Saturday or Sunday. Ingram moved up to first team right guard. He's a second round draft pick. So like this would not be an unprecedented, oh, look at that seventh round pick, right? The other thing is, from the days off, Reed clearly has knee problems. So the odds of him not having some type of hiccup at some point here are probably going to be pretty small. Like, they're trying really hard to keep him as healthy right now as possible, but he's an offensive lineman.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's not like Buxton, hey, go sit on the bench. Like, he still have to, it's an absolutely brutal job. So anyway, I would not be surprised if September 11th against the Green Bay Packers, Ed Ingram is your starting right guard. That would not shock me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked with it either. My guy Realistic Randy and I on the Purple Daily YouTube channel talked about this on Monday, too, for a full breakdown. And he seems like the guy that could potentially be your starting right guard by the end of the season, if not by the beginning of the season. I mean, the dude was a very good stud at LSU, had some major off-the-field issues that kind of lingered into his draft stock, and that's why he fell. But he was very good at LSU. Power 5 school, man, really good player. I wouldn't be shocked at all if maybe by midway through the end of the season that Ed Ingram is your starting right guard, regardless maybe of the health of Jesse Davis.
Oh, absolutely.
I think his stock,
agreed,
potentially of all these rookies, is rising the most as we've been looking at through training camp. Him and Andrew Booth have been phenomenal throughout training camp. And
he's a second round pick. Like, he should play.
Right.
The goal is not to draft a guy like this from a school like that and then not play him, right?
Correct.
So, like, if he plays, he should play. So, yeah, that's the one. That's one where I think they don't want to rush him necessarily, but I also don't think there's a really compelling case at that position to slow cook him if he clearly ends up being the better player than Jesse Davis is.
Rounding out the second team after the offensive line, we have Johnny Munt as second team tight end, KJ Osborne behind Adam Thielen, but more wide receiver 3, I should say.
Right.
And here's the interesting part on the depth chart. Second string quarterback. It says Kellen Mond or, in bold letters, Sean Mannion.
Yeah.
Kellen Mond or Sean Mannion as QB2 for the Vikings.
The old saying is this, Declan. When you have 2 second-team quarterbacks, it means you have none. They want Mond. They desperately want Mond to win this job. Like, they can argue with that. They can say I'm putting words in their mouth. They want him to win the job. He was given on Monday night, the last drills were 2-minute drills, or I think it was actually offense given the ball in its own territory with a minute left on the clock. All right? It was Cousins, no surprise. He got to run that. And then Mond. Mannion never surfaced for that drill. They want Mond to win this job. Mond's processing does not allow him to do that at this point in time. Mannion is Mannion. He's a clipboard carrying helper to Kirk. I think in their mind, they really are their willingness to be Mond. I can tell you right now, though, I don't want either one of those guys playing in a game for me if Kirk can't play.
Rounding out that second team is Alexander Madison behind Dalvin Cook at running back, and then is it Jake Bargas at fullback? Bargas, how do you pronounce it? Yep. So he is the second team fullback. So your second team, if you will, Amir Smith-Marset. Left tackle is Blake Brendel. Left guard, Chris Reed. Backup center, Austin Schlotman. Right guard, second team, Ed Ingram. Right tackle, second team, Oli Udo. Johnny Munt is tight end behind Irv Smith Jr. KJ Osborne, Kellen Mond, or Sean Mannion at quarterback. Alexander Madison, Jake Bargas. That rounds up your second team on the offense.
And so Munt, no question, right now is your first team tight end.
Right. Well, yeah.
So with
reps,
till Irv's back, Munt is the guy, and what they like about Munt is he knows the system really well. Like he can play at full speed. Now his full speed is that of a blocking tight end, so I wouldn't get too excited about that. But I do think they like the fact that they can plug and play him without being concerned about trying to train him in a lot on what this offense calls for.
All right, so third team offense, Judd. Do you want me to continue to go same thing I'm doing here, or do you want me to there's some fourth, five, fifth, sixth teamers on the wide receiver side. So
why don't you run through the rest of just go across? So like run through the rest of
Sure.
the how they're listed right now at receiver and so forth, and just keep going.
So wide receivers: Myron Mitchell,
Yep.
Dan Chesna, Albert Wilson, Thomas Hennigan on the top wide receiver of the depth chart. So 4, 5, 6, 7. Myron Mitchell, Dan Chesna, Albert Wilson, Thomas Hennigan, Phil Mackey's guy.
It's my contention that I think Amir Smith-Marset has the roster made. So really the competition at wide receiver begins with a fifth guy. Mitchell's got a lot of opportunity. Now it's not with, it's not near the first team, but he's gotten chances. The Albert Wilson being that far down surprised me a bit because he's a guy that they signed, and I don't know if they like him or not, but that indicates to me that he is almost certainly going to be cut. Yeah, I would say Mitchell has a good chance. I think Chisna, but he didn't take part in the practice on Monday. I think he was banged up. But I would say starting at Albert Wilson, unless you absolutely shine in the exhibition games decks, I'd say there's very little chance of being on the 53.
Sticking on the wide receiver side, when I go down to the right side, it will be BC Johnson, Tristan Jackson, or Jalen Naylor as 4 or 5. And then Blake Prohl's on the PUP list. So your other wide receivers, basically, after the first 4 that we have established, are Myron Mitchell, Dan Chesna, Albert Wilson, Thomas Hennigan, BC Johnson, Tristan Jackson, Jalen Naylor. Those are all the guys vying for the 5th wide receiver role, and then we'll see how many they actually end up keeping, on the 53.
Yeah, now Chisna's a good special teams player, but here's my guess. My guess is it's going to go Jefferson, Thielen, Osborne, Amir Smith-Marset, BC Johnson has a good chance. Here's the most interesting competition, and this guy was very good in the Monday night practice, okay? Tristan Jackson was very good. Jalen Naylor's, I believe, a 6th round pick, though. Yep. And Jalen Naylor has speed, and Jalen Naylor is the type of player who might get claimed by a team, because I think the Vikings would probably love to get him through to the practice squad. Right. But depending on how he does in the preseason games, it's going to be very intriguing because he is the type of guy that's going to, if you don't have the depth at receiver that some teams do, Jalen Naylor could be pretty intriguing. So, I can see that. And Jackson was good on Monday, but I don't know a lot about him. But yeah, I would say right now the inside track is Amir Smith-Marset at 4, maybe BC Johnson at 5, and then it's really on after that.
Let's get to our first team defense here, Judd. But who is your first team candle? If Judd Zolgad is ranking all of his candles, who is on the first team?
So truth be told, Declan, you know what? When we started this podcast, right? I would say that if I came to you and said, "Hey, Dex, I got a question for you. Do you see me as a candle guy?" You'd be like, "Judd, no, Judd, you're not a candle guy. Dawn might be, your wife, she might be, but you're not." But you know what? Then I found Spiral Light candles, and I'm going to tell you right now, I've aged, mellowed, but I've also gotten smarter. And I realized Spiral Light candles offer a product that not only is super cool because it burns 2 ways. In fact, I'm going to hold this one up right now and show you. Oh yeah, look at that. It burns from the wick on down, so it's very cool because it burns Spiral Light down, and then it provides another wick, a candle, that burns long term. And the aromas, the scents are absolutely house-changing. And now you're like, Judd, and you're holding a purple candle. Well, that's cool. Tell me more, and I will. Because this is what we have deemed, my friend Todd and I at Spiral Light, have deemed Judd's Purple Positivity Candle, which is available now on their site at spirallightcandles.com. Vikings games, when you're watching the purple, stressful enough, right, Declan? Stressful enough. You're pacing. You might even be profanity driven. But you know what you need to do? You need to calm down and enjoy. And there's nothing like the aroma and Judd's Purple Positivity Candle to add just a little bit of calm, just a little bit of smooth on what can be a stressful day. SpiralLightCandles.com. SpiralLightCandles.com. Go to their site right now. And again, that is Judd's Purple Positivity Candle, because even Judd gets positive when he is around a Spiral Light candle product.
You talk about no stress. I can tell you right now, my friends at Underdog Fantasy provide no stress for you. And as someone who was always stressed out over fantasy football rosters and drafts, and do I not take this player? Well, I got to figure out my bye weeks here. It's just the worst. And it dragged me away from fantasy football. But Underdog Fantasy has reinvented me. I went from a third, fourth, fifth team depth chart guy to now being a first team guy, and Underdog Fantasy is leading that charge for me because they set my lineup for me. That's right. I draft the team. I can draft as many quarterbacks as I want if I wanted to. They'll just take and start the best possible quarterback that I drafted, the best possible wide receivers that you drafted. They take all the league management out of it, or all your management out. They manage it for you. It's very nice. And they got pick'em options. I can't wait to get some sweat on with pick'ems. I'm be texting Judd on Sunday Night Football being, Judd, why don't you take X wide receiver for over 75 yards tonight? And Dex, what the heck? I didn't think that was going to hit. And it hit.
And you're a golf master, too. Like golf. When it comes to golf, nobody knows golf.
PGA.
Underdog like you.
Underdog, love it, too. If you join now with promo code SKOR, SKOR, they will match your first deposit up to $100. Yeah, you deposit $100, they match it for you. Use promo code SKOR. It helps us out, too. SKOR. Maybe some fun things in the works, too, as we get close to fantasy football season. So stay tuned for that. So download the Underdog Fantasy app. All right, Judd, back to the meat and potatoes of football.
Yes.
First team defense, same thing. Want me to go just first team all the way down?
Yes. In fact, did we go through the rest of the backups on offensive line, too?
No, we did not.
Yeah, let's go back to that, and I'll just quickly say that if the player has a chance or is a practice squad or a goner when the final cuts are made late this month.
Yep, third team offensive line here. Is it Vidirian Lowe?
Yep, he's going to be cut, and I think he's going to be a practice squad guy, draft pick.
Kyle Hinton, left guard.
Yeah, I think cut.
Josh Sokol, the third team center.
Another potential practice squad guy. If they like him at center, he could be a developmental guy. Very, very raw. Has absolutely no chance to make the roster, but I would say he could, especially now since practice squads are huge, he could have a chance. He has a good chance to be a practice squad guy.
Wyatt Davis, third team right guard.
I think he's cut, and I don't think he's a practice squad guy. Not unless there's just room there. I mean, this is one of this is a. I don't want to harp on this too much, but ladies and gentlemen, this is one of Spielman's great whiffs. This is a third-round offensive lineman who can't play, I guess. Like, at first I thought it was vindictive, and he definitely came into camp not in great shape in 2021. So, like, there were issues, but I think, I mean, he has been buried on a third-team offensive line that's not getting reps. I think he has no chance. They didn't draft him, so I wouldn't be surprised if they don't waste a practice squad place. And again, he is a third-round pick. That is incredibly high to be 1 year in, basically, saying, you know what? Sorry, you can't play.
Timon Paris is the last one at right tackle, third string.
Yeah, he's another. I don't know the years played, but he is a practice squad type of guy. Yep.
Okay. Wyatt Davis, man, him and Willie Beavers on the Mount Rushmore of, I think, some of the whiffs.
Fourth round pick. He was, in fact, the year that Beavers was cut out of training camp as a fourth round pick as a rookie, he was, I think, I looked this up, Dex. He was the highest draft pick in that year's draft to be cut out of training camp.
Correct. Yes, I believe that was accurate.
That's remarkable.
Not good. All right, first team defense. First team defense for Ed, Donatel, Judd. I'll do the same thing. I'll just run through the first teamers.
Yeah.
Like we did for the offense.
Yep, let's run for the first two teams.
Starting outside linebacker, Daniil Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Starting defense end, Armon Watts. Starting at nose tackle, Harrison Phillips. Starting at defensive end, Dalvin Tomlinson. Other starting outside linebacker, Zadarius Smith. Starting at weak side linebacker, I believe that is, Jordan Hicks.
Yeah.
Starting middle linebacker, Eric Kendricks. Starting at cornerback, excuse me. Yep, Cam Dantzler and Patrick Peterson are your starting cornerbacks, and then your starting safeties are Harrison Smith and Cameron Bynum. So those are your first team defenders. Yes,
and the Bynum thing, he has impressed them, and it's real. Like, he is playing first team safety all of the time. When Harrison Smith has been rested, Scene comes in for him, but Cam Bynum, who stepped in for Smith when Smith tested positive for COVID in Baltimore last year, and I think he picked off a pass and had a nice game, he's for real. That's a good pick, and he is going to start. And just to be clear here, too, so there's a couple things about how the depth chart shakes out that it's not the Vikings' fault, but it's a little bit different. First of all, they're a base 3-4. So what you just read was the base 3-4. The reality is they're a base 3-4 that's going to play a ton of, and I mean a ton of, nickel defense in which they're going to be 4-3. So Tomlinson there scoots inside to a defensive tackle spot by Phillips. And most importantly, and depth charts should reflect this now, and they don't. Shandon Sullivan, who was signed as a free agent from the Packers, is going to be a pseudo starter at the nickel. So like he is a third corner. So they're going to have a linebacker off the field a lot, and they're going to essentially have, and it might not be for the first defensive snap of the game, but anyway, Shandon Sullivan should be considered a starter. So just like when you went through Jefferson, Thielen, Osborne, because Osborne technically should be on a first line. Right. Sullivan in this case should be considered a first line guy.
Okay. Second team guys that Judd kind of alluded to too, but this is second team. I'll go same thing. Off from outside linebacker down. Second team outside linebacker Patrick Jones the second.
This is interesting. Yes.
Second string defensive end Jonathan Bullard. Second string nose tackle TJ Smith. Second string defensive end James Lynch, who Vikings fans have seen a little bit of the last few years. Second string outside linebacker DJ Wanham behind Zadarius Smith. Second team weak side linebacker Brian Asamoah, who Judd has been very impressed with, who is maybe a safety, maybe a linebacker, maybe a offensive guard, maybe a wide receiver. He looks like he can play multiple positions.
Stop at safety. Yeah, no, he's not. He's a small dude.
Second string middle linebacker behind Eric Kendricks is Troy Dye. Second string cornerbacks Andrew Booth, Chandon Sullivan. Those are your second team, quote unquote, cornerbacks, and then your second team safeties are Josh Metellus behind Harrison Smith, Lewis Seen behind Cam Bynum. Now, Judd, I talked with Realistic Randy again last Monday, and I even looked this up the other day. I believe Lewis Seen played 170 combined snaps at both cornerback and nickel cornerback last year with Georgia. So he actually got, it was 130 snaps or so at nickel corner, and I believe he also played like some linebacker. Like they used him in different spots.
Yeah, and that's a college thing. Yep. It's a little bit different.
So he has more experience playing outside safety, like outside of the safety position, the true quote unquote safety position that he did last year at Georgia. But Lewis Seen right now your second team safety behind Cam Bynum and Harrison Smith.
Yeah, and one, to be very clear, I don't think that this is anything Seen's done wrong. I think it's what, since the springtime camp started, what Bynum's done right. So he's not in trouble, like he hasn't played poorly. This is Bynum played so well and deserves this chance. You bring up what I think is going to be the case, and we have not seen this look in any practices so far, but I don't think you would show this publicly. And I've been talking about this since Seen was drafted. I think there's going to be times where you have three safeties out there and another linebacker off. And does that mean that you've got a dime package because Sullivan's still there? That I don't know. But if I was to take a guess with how multiple Ed Donatell's defense is going to be, I am going to guess that there are looks that we are not seeing in practice that involve Lewis Seen and Brian Asamoah.
Wow.
Who are, if you look at them, Declan, almost interchangeable physically. And yet one is a safety and one is a linebacker. And so I don't think that you would put that out there necessarily, and you certainly won't in exhibition games.
Right.
But I think both of those guys have a potential to be to be contributors as the season progresses in unique ways, and certainly would be the first man up in different situations if people get injured at their positions.
The illusion of complexity, Judd Zolgad.
Well, the defense is going to be it's going to be incredible. Like the amount of things that are going to change from snap to snap to snap are going to really be intriguing to watch.
All right, third and fourth team guys. Here, let's. I'll go from outside linebacker and then down. Third and fourth team outside linebackers, respectively, Luigi Villan and Andre Mintze, Mintze. Those are your third and fourth team outside linebackers. Your third and fourth team defensive ends, Jalen Twyman and Julian Taylor. Your third.
Twyman's an interesting.
Is he?
Twyman's an intriguing one to me. I'm not sure what to make of his chances, but I think he is. I think he's got some attributes that might get claimed if you waived him. Might.
Okay. Third and fourth string nose tackles are T.Y. McGill Jr. and Tyrese Stevenson.
Yeah, they don't have a chance.
Third string defensive end. Is it Ezi Atamawi?
Oh, hold on a second. It's
Oh,
the former
boy.
Gopher. It's the former Gopher. Usezi
Oh my God, I wasn't even close.
Otamewu.
Okay.
So it's O, capital T-O-E, toe, and then small Mewu.
Okay. Interesting.
Former Gopher. I don't know. So he's a 5th round pick, Declan. Strikes me as the type of guy they probably would like to get through to practice squad. And 5th round picks are dicey. The one thing to mention, though, is if you wait. So on August, so there's 3 cut down dates now. August 30th, which is a Tuesday. The cut down goes from 80 to 53. And the method to the madness in that one is teams are so fixated on trying to get their own guys signed to practice squads that they don't scan the wire as thoroughly as they should. And so you can get, how can I put this nicely? You can get project guys who you like back on your team because that's what what the other teams are trying to do at that same time.
Got it. Backup outside linebacker Janarius Robinson, Zach McLeod, 3rd and 4th team respectively. Backup 3rd and 4th team weak side linebackers are Blake Lynch and William Kowenu. I'm gonna go with.
All right.
3rd and 4th team middle linebacker.
I haven't come across him too much.
Chaz Surratt and Ryan Connolly, and Connolly is on the PUP list. Your
Stop for a second there. Chaz Surratt is interesting. Because he was the kid. I think he was a 5th round pick last year by Spielman. He had been a quarterback in college, and he had moved to linebacker. And the Vikings loved his athletic ability. I think he gets cut. I haven't seen anything from him in camp. I think he gets cut, and I don't think he is a bust like Wyatt Davis is considered a bust. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does not come back.
All right, 3rd and 4th team, 5th team, 6th team cornerbacks here, and there's actually a good amount of names that people don't know on here. So on the left side, Chris Boyd, Perry Nicholson, Nate Harrison on the left side from the 4th, 5th, 6th team cornerback options.
Yeah, after Boyd, they're all gone. And in the case of Boyd's an interesting one. So Boyd is a special teams guy. He has been forced to play at different times. Cornerback, he's not that good. But I do believe that Boyd actually is, so the second team, lots of times, Boyd has mixed in. So I do believe he does have a fighting chance. It's going to be difficult, but I do believe he's got a fighting chance to make the roster.
4th, 5th, 6th right cornerback options, Caleb Evans, Harrison Hand, Ty Smith.
Harrison Hand is an interesting one because I think the previous administration liked him.
They did.
Caleb Evans is going to make this team. So Booth makes it, Evans does, and then I guess the question is, does this come down to like a battle between Hand and Boyd? And then that's also going to be dependent on who this coaching staff feels is the best special teams guys as well. But something's got to give. I think I've seen enough of Boyd, but that's just me personally.
Then 3rd team safeties are Mike Brown and Miles Dom.
Yeah, it's been nice knowing him.
Yeah, thank God.
Hey, you know what? You tried.
We'll get to special teams here to round things out before we get to write that down. Predictions. One kicker on the roster, and it's Greg Joseph. Greg Joseph's having a hell of a camp.
Yeah, Greg Joseph's been great so far. 7 of 8 in the Monday night, 7,000 people watching, pressure-filled practice. Yes, Greg Joseph is probably the happiest man every day that his car parks at TCO. He says, my God, is my life simpler now.
2 punters, and they're in the same spots as holders on the roster. Jordan Berry, who was the Vikings punter last year, and Ryan Wright. Judd, is Jordan Berry's job pretty much locked up here, you think?
It's locked up, yeah. And the first round of cuts are next Tuesday. We're going to go from the current 90 to 85 players. I'm willing to bet that the backup punter is one of the 5 jettisoned next Tuesday.
Shout out to a friend of the show, Courtney Cronin, the only log snapper on the roster, Andrew D. Piola.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you know what? It's a skill, man. It's a skill.
Uh-huh. And then the last little piece of dessert here on this depth chart, Jeb. Starting kick returners, Kene Nwangwu. And behind him is KJ Osborne, Ty Chandler for the second and third team, respectively, kick returners. But the first team punt returner, Judd, Amir Smith-Marset, second team, Jalen Naylor.
And that's what I keep saying. I think they want Amir Smith-Marset to win that job. The Naylor one, again, it's interesting because I don't know that he is prepared yet, but he's made some nice grabs. And I don't know that he is a slam dunk to make the roster. Mm-hmm. But I do think that, to just go back on what I said before, with his skill set, if he gets cut, a team might try and sign him. So I wonder if he at least makes the initial roster based on that, based on his speed, he's made some nice catches.
Sure.
I guess the other question comes back to this. How much do they like BC Johnson?
Right.
Like we all sort of fell in love a few years back, and we're like, he's great. And then if you recall, in Jefferson's rookie season, he started the first 2 games ahead of Jefferson.
It seems like Kirk loves him, too.
Yeah.
Like, he always speaks about him, which I always find really weird.
And you know what? He probably runs a really good route.
And sure.
But I don't know that I don't know what the upside is there. And you've already got 3 pretty good ones, 1 great one.
Yeah.
And then if Smith-Marset can come of age, that helps. So, and this also comes down to what they are going to do. And there's no like precedent here yet for positions, right? Mm-hmm. Like, are you going to keep X amount of receivers, running backs? Because Ty Chandler, who's got speed and ability, could make the roster, but he's also probably a candidate because he's a 5th round pick to be on the practice squad.
Absolutely.
So,
well, there's your depth chart, baby. That is some meat and potatoes football right there.
Good
and to be
stuff,
honest,
man.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if Phil Mackey's back in tow. Well, if he ever comes back in tow, that we'll be talking about this a little bit more as the week progresses here.
He missed out today.
He did, baby. He did. He's too hot for us. He's too hot for us.
So what happens when you log those company hours, those company dinners and
we'll see if little Jean-Claude Van Damme can join us. Phil Mackey can join us for Write That Down predictions we got coming up here. An accountability session. Your boy is playing with house money, as I like to tell you right now. A big lead in the batting average. And I'm talking game. Talking big game here. Judd did this last year, and he went on this insane slump.
Yep.
So we'll see if
I hope you do too.
Yeah, thank you. That's really nice.
I do. I mean, I want to win.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, hit the subscribe button. Daily Minnesota Sports Entertainment on right here on this YouTube channel. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. The SKOR North app is a central hub for everything we do. All right, let's get to these accountability session and write that down predictions.